we're live. So, in the event announcement, I announced for a 7:10 start, so people will understand this is just setup time. And this gives people a chance to find it and all that.
I guess it sounds good.
It's like you're driving it.
This is perfect. Yeah, this is great.
I know.
This is really good.
A new toy
Oh yeah.
for future meetings.
Of course, again, this is designed to pick up ambient sound. Hopefully, hopefully the people so,
Testing.
pick up ambient sound through the iPad.
Get her on a seat. Get on the seat. We need to tell you that.
Another man.
Okay, well, we'll make sure.
Hey, Bob, where can people find this who want to watch?
The Democrat Club of Delray Beach page.
Okay.
Not the forum group, the page.
Hello.
A little busy there, Bob. A little busy. Say again?
Last night was pretty good. Years ago, we had when there were 6 people. So yeah, like you did one of that.
Doesn't matter. She's still right. You gotta let her do her job.
Was that people?
Beach, Miss Johnson, and I took the bike. We could go run through that earlier. It was over there.
This looks like a.
Can I sit here?
Smaller. Well, we're streaming, we're live.
I don't think we do it unless it's
David is,
grandson.
Would you prefer us to stay here? Whenever you're comfortable with. You want to sit up here? I forget the last time you did it.
If you have questions.
We didn't have motions last time, so because that,
Yeah. I guess we'll wait till 10 after. Want to start there? You know what? I don't know what. Start here? Give them.
It's up close and personal.
Stand for this mic, they want to hold it. Okay.
and he doesn't have to use the card.
Really? This actually loud. We'll see. Try that one. Yeah, well, Hello? That's ours. Try that one. That's theirs.
Hello?
Hello? Fine if you get up to it.
It's what?
If you get up to it, it's fine.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I think we'll get started because we have a lot of questions. I'm Michael Cantwell. I'm the president of the Democratic Club Delray Beach, and we're sponsoring this forum. A couple of things at the beginning. I want to recognize some of the electeds in the audience. There's Mayor Shelley Petrolia, Commissioner Shirley Johnson, former Commissioner Mitch Katz. I don't know if I missed anybody. Former Commissioner Jim Chard in the back there. Yeah. And who? Oh, and Ann Gannon. Oh, hey. Hi, Ann. Okay. One other announcement, and that is, I'm sure everyone is already aware that you no longer have a vote by mail request on file unless you've requested one since the beginning of the year. You need to go online. You can do it by phone, but the easiest thing is to go online to the Supervisor of Elections. It takes about 20 seconds, and within a day or so, your request is on file. So, in our newsletter, on the second page, there's instructions. So if you pick one up. Anyway, so. The what? Oh, and there's a water petition on the table there too. You should pick up.
Due by March 1st.
So, to begin, many of you already have strong feelings about the candidates. You know who you're going to vote for. You have strong feelings about the issues. But there are a lot of other people who came here just to listen. And out of respect for them and the candidates, I'd like to emphasize this is not really an interactive event. It's not the living theater. We're going to hear from the candidates, and if there's time, and I'm hoping that there's time, we'll take written questions, and we may be able to get 2 or maybe 3 of them before the end. We have to be out of here at 9 o'clock is the thing. So the format. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening and 1 minute for a closing statement. We've prepared 4 questions, and all of the candidates are going to receive the same questions. We're going to alternate which candidate gets the question first. So each candidate is the first answerer, and each candidate is the second. So if the first question goes to Rob, the second question will go first to Julie. If the first question goes first to Angela, the second question will go first to Angie. There's 30 seconds for rebuttal. And it's not the normal rebuttal where there's 2 rebuttals. So if Julie has something to say about what you said, you're going to be able to respond to that at the end. So that's the format. And as I said, we're hoping that we'll have time for 2 or 3 questions from the audience. We put out paper and pens, and I guess after the 3rd question, I'll have somebody go and collect them. The questions from the audience should be the same as our questions, insofar as they're not going to be personal or directed at anybody. Everyone's going to get the same question. So, I guess that's it. Are there any questions? Okay. All right. So, it's fair to say that the most pressing issues on the minds of Delray voters involve development, and that includes underdevelopment west of Swinton as well as overdevelopment east of Swinton, and that's the focus of our first 2 questions. So, what?
You want us to do our open and then you should also do it?
Come on up. You get to go.
You're in. I'll take over.
I'll go sit in the corner.
I got this for you. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the club for sponsoring this event. I really appreciate that, and thank you all for coming. And my name is Julie Cassell. I am an 18-year resident of Delray Beach. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I am your city commissioner. I'm running for re-election to seat 2. I was elected to serve in March of 2019 on the eve of COVID. And over the past 3 years, I've built a record of accomplishments that I feel really proud of. I implemented a coastal habitat conservation plan, and that's aimed at preserving our beach, which is our economic driver, our source of pleasure and recreation. I also requested that we do a study to implement diverse housing types. We have a lot of housing, but we don't have diverse housing types. We need attainable housing. We could utilize cottage-style housing, which is smaller houses, which could be more affordable. So the study is geared towards looking at different styles of homes and then having us implement them into our LDRs. Additionally, I requested an audit of the payroll process, which determined, I did this after reading a few reports, and it determined that we were losing money because our payroll process was not efficient, and it left us open to a lot of mistakes. And that has since been changed. And additionally, I did ask for the implementation of a contract administration person. And that person essentially will keep track of our contracts and make sure that we're getting paid from people who owe us money, because in the past, some money has slipped through the cracks, unfortunately. So these are the things that I have been working on. They're not very glamorous, but they are things that will make a difference, and I'm very happy. And I come to this forum 3 years ago when I came here. I came with a wish list, and today I came with a checklist, and I feel really great about that. And I would be really remiss if I didn't mention our staff. The city has so many amazing staff members, and without them we couldn't get anything done. So I hope you consider me for re-election on March 14th. I would like to continue working for you. There are important things coming up, and I would like to continue working on them. A historic overlay to protect our downtown, critically important for us. A new water treatment plant, state of the art, and our golf course. So thank you very much for your time.
David is going to be holding up the signs. Julie couldn't see him, so go ahead, Bob.
Wait a minute.
All right. Good evening, Democrats. So thanks again, Michael, and to the Delray Democrats for having us here tonight. I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob Long. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm a 13-year Delray Beach resident. I was president of the Palm Beach County Young Democrats from 2016 to 2020. I think that's probably the last time I was here with you guys, was in that role, actually. I was honored to be a delegate for President Joe Biden in 2020 as well. I spent the last 6 years serving in an elected capacity on the Palm Beach Soil and Water Conservation District, the last 4 as chair, and I actually hand over the gavel tomorrow. Tomorrow is my last meeting on that board, so it's kind of bittersweet, but I was honored last year to receive the Public Service Award from the National Association of Clean Water Agencies for my service on that board. I've also served on Delray Beach advisory boards for the last 6 consecutive years, most recent last 4 years were on planning and zoning, where I termed out in August. I own a small community engagement firm called Door to Door Strategies. I started that for the same reason that I'm running for office today, to help provide access to local governments and public officials to residents. I also am a civil engineer. I do consulting work with several risk management companies, but what I'm passionate about, folks, is public service in Delray Beach. And I believe that I could bring that my experience and professionalism are what we need on the Delray Commission right now. And that's why I have the endorsements of our local police and fire departments. And as of today, I just got the endorsement from Representative Joe Casello. So I hope you'll all consider voting for me and supporting my campaign for Delray Beach Commission seat 2. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me in the back there? All right, great. Good evening. I want to thank the Democratic Club as well for holding this forum so that you, our neighbors, can get to know who we are and understand what our concerns are. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Angela Burns. I am a 58-year resident of Delray Beach. I have 3 children that I've raised here. I have worked in the Palm Beach County School District for the past 34 years, currently just retired. My concern is for my community. I work with students and, we told them to go to school, get your degree and come back home and live. They can't come back and afford to live here. So I'm running to do what I can to make sure that my grandchildren that just turned 13 years old and my students from the past can come back and live in our city. I want to work together with the community to make sure that we have clean water, safe streets, safe communities, working together, putting back. I've been around a long time and we used to have community input. There was public input. And we got a lot of things done that way. I would like to restore that. I too have been endorsed by our firefighters, the police, SEIU, the elders of our community, the Set Neighborhood Alliance, and they are supporting me because they know and realize that I have the commitment, I have the experience as an educator for 34 years, and that I care about my community. I've been walking in the paint with the community for all of my adult life. And I know the issues that our community has. So I urge you to ask me any questions that you want. If there's something that I can answer for you, please, and then I'm hoping for your support. Again, I'm Angela Burns, City Commission Seat 4, and I'm hoping I earn your support. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Hi, my name is Angie Gray, and I am candidate for Delray Beach City Commission, Seat 4. Can you hear me? Everyone can hear me. Seat 4. Seat 4 is an open seat. Let me begin to tell you a little bit about me. I am a 47-year resident of the city of Delray Beach. I grew up here. I went to all the public schools here. Atlantic High School I graduated from. I attended Delray Beach Elementary School. And I have been actively involved in our community for 15 years, not only in Delray Beach, but in Palm Beach County. I previously served on the Delray Beach Community Redevelopment Agency in 2009 to 2007 to 2009. I currently serve on the Community Redevelopment Agency Board. I've been on that board for 5 years now, and I serve as your vice chair. I have served for the last 2 years as your vice chair. I am also currently serving on the Solid Waste Authority Small Business Advisory Board. I've been there since 2019. I previously served on the Delray Beach CRA, which I mentioned earlier. I am a former member of the National League of Cities and former board member of the Palm Beach County Leagues of Cities. I also previously served as a board member of the Palm Beach County Healthcare District, where I implemented expanding our dental program. I'm also a former member of the South Central Regional Wastewater Treatment and Disposal Board, to just to name a few. I am a minority business owner. I own Graco Construction and Related Services. I'm a realtor. I have been a realtor for 9 years with Reliant Realty, and I'm a proud member of NABWIC, the National Association of Black Women in Construction. And I am also the former secretary for the Florida Black Caucus of Local Elected Official and a former member of the Palm Beach County Black Caucus. I have been married to my husband, Kenneth Gray, for 36 years. Together we have 3 children and 11 grandchildren. I am running to bring my qualification, experience, and years of institutional knowledge back to the commission to lead and to protect our village by the sea. My name is Angie Gray. Remember the name Gray, Angie and Angela. Just remember the name Gray. Vote for me on March the 14th. Thank you very much.
Has as I began before, development. The first question, we're going to begin east of Swinton. And I know I said 2 minutes for each answer and then a 30-second rebuttal. This is a two-part question, so we're going to give 3 minutes for each candidate and then 1 full minute to respond, okay? So here's the question. Overdevelopment is causing traffic congestion and parking problems, and many of us believe it's destroying the charm of our so-called village by the sea. It's a two-part question. First, what have you done either as a concerned citizen or in an official capacity, and what would you do if elected or re-elected to prevent further detrimental development? And secondly, have you accepted campaign funds from developers or those in the real estate industry, either directly or through PACs? And Rob, why don't you start on this side?
Thank you. So I've spent the last 4 years on the Planning and Zoning Board, as many of you know. Unfortunately on there, we don't get to decide on full projects. We get a narrow spectrum that we get to view, and we don't often even see site plans. So I just get to vote on zoning requests and send those through. And what I've done in that capacity, I've always voted with our comprehensive plan and with our land development regulations. And what I believe is that we need to make sure that we are aligning our vision for the future of Delray with the comprehensive plan that was built by our residents. Also, we need to collaborate, bring in experts, and have a vision for the future when it comes to development. That takes nuanced conversations with professionals. It takes collaboration, something we have not seen from my opponent or from the mayor, unfortunately. There's an inability to collaborate. That's why my opponent does not have the support of our police and fire departments. That's why she doesn't, that's why we're in a lawsuit with one of our major nonprofits in the city. Right now, we need collaboration on the dais. We need long-term planning with engineers, with professionals. There's a long-term vision for Delray. We can reduce traffic, we can adhere to our height limits, we can make sure that our neighborhoods have compatible growth. At the end of the day, we need to manage Delray's success. That's what it comes down to. We have a beautiful, amazing town here. People are going to continue to move here. We have to make sure that we are planning for that growth. Otherwise, we're going to end up with traffic nightmares. We're going to end up with things that are incompatible. So my goal is to collaborate with partners and create a culture of collaboration with professionals so we can create a vision for Delray and ensure that it's still a beautiful place to live, and each of our unique communities has developments that are, projects that are compatible. Thank you.
The audio louder. Joy said some people, the video's great, but they can't hear so well, and I don't think there's anything you can do.
There is nothing.
Okay.
It's all
so
ambient.
everyone's got to speak a little louder.
Okay, I can speak louder. So I'll just start by saying so much for the stability, because it just hit the fan. And that's okay. So the question was about overdevelopment, what can we do? And my opponent says he doesn't vote on the projects, but that's not true, because you voted for the building behind docks, which could not accommodate any of its parking. It needed, I believe, either 53 to 58 parking spaces, and it only had 20-something. And we talk about why do we have these problems with traffic? If you can't park it, you shouldn't build it. Now, don't get me wrong, there are exceptions. If it's a restaurant, you can have in lieu of parking for some percent because people are going in a car together or maybe taking an Uber. But in reality, you do vote on these projects, absolutely. And second, there are solutions, but they require electing the right people to sit in front of you and make the right votes, because our quality of life is important. I used to sit at the traffic light on Congress for 1 turn. Now I'm there for 3 light turns. That is a byproduct of the development. So I want to talk about the lawsuits, because I will give my opponent one thing. We could eliminate some of these frivolous lawsuits. In fact, 5 recently filed against me by my opponent's supporters. 5 grievances filed against me. Now, you guys all have to pay for the lawyer to represent me. He's 0-5 on those. because they were all bogus. It's ridiculous. Frivolous lawsuits are a problem, and I hate to say it, but you are supported by the police, and I respect the police. The gentlemen are back here and they're lovely, but the major source of our litigation is our police department. And that's not uncommon in cities. It's not a problem. Second, slip and falls. The commission is not responsible for the litigation. We cannot stop people from suing. It's unfortunate, and I'm sorry about that. And look, you have been campaigning on civility, and that was not very polite. But I'm just going to say this because now here we are. My opponent got up during the middle of one of those planning and zoning meetings, slammed his chair in, yelled at one of his board members, and departed from the meeting early. The chair of the board referred to him as disgraceful, and what else did he say? Disrespectful. That's not the kind of civility that we need in our city. So thank you. The question was about overdevelopment, and back to what you can do. Vote for a candidate with a proven record on development.
We covered a lot of ground here already, huh? All right. Well, first of all, the chair is a campaign operative on your campaign, Chris Davey, and anyone who wants to watch the video of me leaving the meeting early, I didn't slam anything or swear at anyone or any of the things that have been said. Feel free to go watch the meeting, by the way. I calmly left the meeting about 30 seconds early. But in any case, you mentioned lawsuits. One of the biggest ones is with Old School Square, for instance. That's not one that's one I think we could have avoided, actually. And I think we could have avoided the $1.5 million in counting so far that now taxpayers are going to have to pay because of that decision.
I need to rebut, if I may. 15. Do I get 2 rebuttals? 15. Okay, thank you very much. Listen, that was a contract dispute. The organization was not providing the required documentation. It's in their lawsuits. Go to the Palm Beach County website, pull up the complaint, and you can see where they acknowledge. I met with them multiple times prior to that vote. That was a very challenging vote for me. I did not want to do that. I know people at Old School Square. I love Old School Square. But the problem is when you're responsible for the taxpayers' money and the organization that you're giving $900,000 to per year will not tell you how that money was spent, you're forced to do something. That's the bottom line. Now, what I did was gave them a caveat on the evening of the vote. You may come back if you have your paperwork in order, and I will reconsider. And they opted not to over the course of 6 months. And I think that's unfortunate. But I cannot change the fact that 2 auditors said their books don't reconcile, and that there is a question about PPP improprieties, which was directed to the U.S. Attorney General, Inspector General, excuse me. So that litigation, and by the way, one last thing, if you don't mind. That litigation will probably get them, I believe there is a contract limit of recovery for $10,000. They're spending about $100,000 to get 10. And there we have the financial problems.
So, one thing that I've learned as an educator is you don't get anywhere with squabbling. We have to learn how to get along, problem solve, look at what our problems are, and work together as a community to solve those problems. As I said earlier, Delray was built on public input. Public input. We have people that have the institutional knowledge. We have studies done on the traffic that I understand is sitting on the shelf. It hasn't been implemented. So I would say, let's find out where we are with the studies that we have, where we are with all the plans that we have, and let's move forward, working together, trying to solve the problem of our it's already done. We can't undo the development. We have to work with what we have. So we need to move forward together and do the best thing and manage our city well so that we can have a future in Delray for our young people. Thank you. And to my knowledge, I do not have any contributions from any development. I think that was one of the questions, or Pat. And however, my campaign to date, as to my knowledge, it's grassroots. We're collecting the dollars, it's grassroots, but I will be talking to some of the contractors. I will, because I want to work with everybody. I want to work with everybody, and unfortunately, you need dollars to run a campaign. So, thank you.
I'll answer that question up front. Yes, I have received developer real estate. I'm a realtor, so I receive. I'm a realtor, so I.
The other mic is
It's actually better. That's all.
Yes, to answer your question, I have received contributions from developers and real estate agency. I am a real estate agency, so, and also from grassroots. Thank you. To answer the question of overdevelopment, we know that we are overdeveloped. When I was a city commissioner, we had 60,000 people in the city of Delray Beach. Today, we have over 70,000 people in the city of Delray Beach. And our infrastructure is already built. So I will make recommendations that we go back and look at our policies and we decide on where we want to have growth. We have to have smart growth. So we would be the ones making the decisions on where you will put, housing, where you will put commercial, where you put warehouses, where you will put whatever we want done. We will be the ones that will make that decision. It starts with our policy. The benefit will be to our residents, and we will not overbuild if we just say no. Thank you.
Okay, Angela, you have 1 minute to respond if you like. No? All right, so there's nothing.
Right, that is
Response
special.
to Angela. So let's move on to the second question. If I can find it. While east of Swinton was being overdeveloped, the west of Swinton corridor was largely ignored. Why was that? And has it changed? Or how has it changed? And how would you like to see that area developed? And what role do you believe the community should play in such development? Okay, and this is 2 minutes. We're back to 2 minutes. And I guess, Julie, you go first.
I'm sorry, I didn't answer the question earlier. I think I'm primarily funded by residents, and I think you can find my reports online. Someone did a schematic of our donations, and I think my opponent will tell you he's funded by PACs, special interest in developers. Excuse me, Michael, the question was why, and the answer is hard to say because I wasn't really around to say what transpired. But it seemed, I guess, necessary to start in the east, except we didn't work our way to the west. We stopped. At one time, I believe, when the CRA, before the CRA was put back in the commission's hands, money was going more to the east, and today it's going to the west, and a lot of money is going to the west. With respect to the development, we are working on a container block on the northwest 800 block, to see if we can help utilize that space for small businesses. It'll be an interesting concept, and it can be permanent or temporary depending on how the residents like it. With respect to the 6, 7, 800 block, we've had 2 different developments that have both come and gone, and that's really unfortunate. Now we're having a study done to see what is really appropriate there, because we don't know. Essentially, it was supposed to be a grocery store, some businesses, and some residential, but now we have a dire need for residential. So then the question becomes, should it be more residential than business? What's the proper balance? What appropriately serves the residents? And we're having a professional do a study to tell us that, because the last 2 projects did not work out for various reasons, and we want to get it right. I want to get it right. It's critically important. Thank you so much.
So I received money from one PAC, and that's the Firefighters Union, and I'm proud to claim that check. I've also received money from developers, builders, restaurateurs, retirees, and folks from every part, every corner, every walk of life of Delray are supporting my campaign because they're ready for a change. My opponent, interestingly enough, approved a project last night from 2 developers that she got campaign donations from, which is interesting. So I want to talk about the affordable housing crisis we have in Delray Beach and the fact that the city and the CRA budget has budgeted $0 for this year are dedicated to adding units to our affordable housing inventory, even with approximately $10 million worth of federal funds. That's unacceptable. On top of that, my opponent voted against every project that utilizes our workforce housing program, which leverages private dollars instead of taxpayer dollars to add affordable housing units to our city. So what I'll do, I'll continue to incentivize developers to build affordable housing units and put the burden on them, not on us. And I'll ensure we have a dedicated budget to add to our affordable housing stock. Thank you.
30 seconds. Can I get 40? Takes me 4 steps to get up here. Okay. I don't know what money you're talking about. I think you should be more
Okay, we'll put it
specific.
online.
Yeah, please do, because I think that's an inaccurate statement. I'm not sure that my opponent appreciates the complexities of the problem with workforce housing and why I vote no. This is an issue impacting the entire state. Large investors are purchasing properties and turning them into rentals, but the cost of these rentals is truly out of reach for low to moderate income households. That's the reality. And we can take a vote, right, because we vote on the same things. Or on Congress Avenue. This is on the corner of Atlantic and Congress. 292 units, 72 workforce at the 80 to 120% median income, which means they are available to people with an income of $72,240 to $108,360. They're not affordable. And I'll just add to that. The reason why they're not affordable, if you did research before the vote, is that the developer adds fees on top of the rent. It's an a la carte menu. You have a dog, $50. You want bug spray, $25. Parking space, $25. Garbage, $50. This is a farce. It's an illusion. And the only way we're going to get real affordable housing is if we start saying no to these developers and demand that they provide us housing at a low to moderate low income level.
Thank you.
I'll keep this quick. My opponent threw a lot of numbers out there that I'm sure we'll check for accuracy later. But the point of the matter is my opponent has voted against more affordable housing units than anyone else on the commission currently. And I think that's a major thing that we should be looking at. It really shows where my opponent's priorities are. At the end of the day, we are one community. Delray is one Atlantic Avenue. We need to be prioritizing the needs of West Atlantic and bring the communities who should be empowered back to the table, back to the conversation. That's why my campaign is about collaboration and about bringing people together and bridging the gap between West Atlantic and East Atlantic. Thank you.
Okay, we're back for 2 minutes. David Blondin on next.
You're first.
This is 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Go.
Okay, yeah, a lot of time passed. The time the question was first read, so here it is again. While east of Swinton was being overdeveloped, west of Swinton was largely ignored. Why was that, and how has it changed? How would you like to see that area developed, and what role do you believe the community should play in such development?
Thank you. So a couple of years ago, when the CRA was created, they decided to make sure that all the money go downtown Delray Beach so that we could build up the tax base so that we could support all the other communities. And so now, 5 years ago, we decided, before then, 90% of the dollars were going to our core downtown, and you all know that all the money was being sent downtown. When we got on this board, we decided to bring back all the money to make sure that we bring the money into the community that had made sure that we became a CRA in the first place to remove slum and blight. So now, today, 95 or 98% of the dollars are now in the Northwest, Southwest neighborhood community. So Yes, so, now, thank you, I'm on that board, I know, yeah. So, what I would do is make sure, so, development west of Delray, now it's east of Swinton, and we're proud of that. On the CRA, we did that, we made that happen. As far as housing is concerned, we do have money on the CRA, and for affordable housing. In the last year or two, we're building 20 houses, which was Corey Jones House and Carver Square. So we are working with affordable housing, and essential housing is what we really need in the city of Delray Beach. Thank you.
30 seconds left. Go.
We need to be civil. When they're speaking, you're not up here. You don't know what it's like to be speaking and hear people hooting, okay?
Go.
I think the question was, what happened to the development on west of Swinton? And I would say the neighborhood is wondering the same thing. So, the CRA was created to rid the city of slum and blight. Well, the slum and blight is here, still here 30 years later, and it's still here. There was a community organization put together. We have a plan for the West Atlantic section called the Transformation Plan. It is a community put together plan with stakeholders from all over our community, not just the people that lived in the set. That plan has just been kicked down the road, and I have no idea why. So we are looking, the CRA spent a lot of time and money to acquire lands that have remained empty for years. For what reason? So I would really like to know the reason. So I am working with the community. This is a community effort so that we can put our heads together and figure out what's the problem with getting this plan going. The money's there. The CRA could have given money to help these legacy homes that need repairs. We need additional funds to do that. Affordable housing is needed. It's a crisis. So we need to put our heads together to figure out how are we going to get our people that live here, that want to stay here, live, work, and play here, to get that. We have the property, we need to get that done. So community effort. Let's work together to get this done.
We got 30 seconds.
So the CRA has been very active in the last 5 years. Now, prior to that, she's absolutely right. All the money was being spent downtown Delray Beach. Today, you see infrastructure, you see sidewalks, you see alleyways being paved, you see affordable housing, you see economic development. We have been busy working. You see more lighting. We have a safer neighborhood today. And if any one of you haven't been paying attention if you're saying that that's not what has happened going on. I don't need a plan to tell you what is being needed in our community, and we have been addressing those things. So thank you very much.
I just want to say that the things that are happening are things that were already in the plan, and they should have been happening all along, and it's great. But also, I think that the community deserves to be in on the plan or whatever. If we need to revise the transformation plan, let's revise it. But it needs to be community input. Train cars, like who decided that? Was there community input? Does it satisfy the needs of the community? Grocery store, definitely we have a food desert in the set. We need a medical facility. We have seniors. I'm a senior citizen now. I joined the senior club, and I'm finding out these people are going back to the doctor with the same ailments because they can't afford the medicine. So we need to have the facilities that will serve our community, that our community can have sustainable and a good life in our community.
This question, I guess, goes first to Rob. What are your plans for mitigating the effects of ocean rise and protecting our beaches?
2 minutes.
So one thing that I would focus on, I served on the Green Implementation Advancement Board, and a big thing that we dealt with on that was the raising of seawalls. We need to make sure that all our public and private seawalls are high enough to ensure that we don't have flooding along the intracoastal, which has become a major issue. In fact, the last person to drown in Delray Beach was several miles from the coast near the intracoastal because of seasonal flooding there. We also need to ensure that our infrastructure, our drainage and stormwater infrastructure is up to par, because otherwise it floods back up through the backflow preventer. So we need to ensure that all that is managed properly. We need to focus on our beach nourishment program, as well as making sure that our dune restoration program is still prioritized as well. Thank you.
We are working on the sea level rise. I think it's a $278, maybe even $378 million project. We are working on it. It is happening. You may not be aware that I implemented a coastal habitat conservation plan, which is, I actually work with Bill in the audience here as a collaboration from the BPOA, and that is geared towards preserving and protecting our dunes. So that is happening, but I want to go back to the last question because I feel like I can't leave that unanswered. Angie, I believe one thing you overlooked was the affordable housing, 60 units, Island Cove. We did that. We did the 20 Carver. We have partnerships with Habitat for Humanity, but no, this is important because I do care. I know, no. I answered the sea level rise question. We are doing it. I requested the CRA look to purchase a 10.4 acre property, the old Plumosa school site. I got a consensus from all of my fellow commissioners to proceed. That I met with partners in our community, the Housing Authority. We determined tax credits are available for senior affordable, not low income, not workforce, affordable housing that will serve the demographic that is becoming homeless the most quickly, the seniors. There is also enough on that parcel to do family low-income housing and then some workforce actual homes. So homes, multi-unit, and apartments on 10.4 acre. I'm serving the residents because that's what they need. They don't need 1,500 apartments that you have approved for people that you work with in your business.
That's an interesting accusation. People that I work with in my business. Not sure what that means. You may have to specify that during your rebuttal. Please do. Well, since my colleague isn't really following the rules of the debate, I'm going to talk to something tangential to the ocean sea level rise, which is, I mentioned I was on the Green Implementation Advancement Board. Recently, that same board recommended that new construction in Delray, anything over 5,000 square feet, get LEED certified or equivalent. This is a big move for Delray. This was a great move. It would have made us trailblazers in the green field. But my opponent led the charge to ensure this requirement only applies to buildings over 20,000 square feet, which is very few buildings still being built in Delray. And I think we should prioritize green building and sustainability before making it cheaper for builders to build homes here. Thank you.
So to answer the question, my opponent voted in favor of the largest development in the city of Delray Beach, the 43-acre Parks of Delray. And he happens to work with one of the partners in that development, 13th Floor Investments. They're on your website touting your expertise. So that is the case, and I'm sorry, and it's unfortunate for the residents. What was the other comment? Michael? Was there something else? Oh, I finished that.
She's got to be real good.
Oh, no, I forgot. I remember.
Okay. Got a minute.
Do it on the next one. Now, hang on. I see nothing wrong with somebody using their time. You know, I mean, and it makes it more interesting. Okay, so you know, as long as it doesn't involve snatching mics or fisticuffs, right? Okay, so who went first last time? On we're back to you going first. No.
Thank you. Sea level rising is real, and we need to make sure that we put in place more policies to protect our neighbors and our property owners. What's happening is that I think the seawall is, the seawall is supposed to be about 4 feet that we have raised it to, but everyone has not raised their wall yet, so it's creating issues and problems when we have the surge come in that is now flooding other properties, because when you have the higher wall, it seeps around and it goes on to the neighbors. So I think that we need to have maybe some more input from some professionals to make sure that we're doing everything we can to do to protect against sea level rising. Thank you.
So, I heard Commissioner Costello say that there is a plan in place. I've been talking to some of the beach home owners from the association, and I understand that there was a rising water task force plan done that is not being implemented. So, you know, sea rise affects us all. I mean, when it floods on the Barrier Island, we're going to have flooding on this side. And all we need to do is take notice of what happened in coastal California. And right now, they're still suffering from that. And if we're not monitoring, I think we do a great job of putting plans together, but we do a very poor job of implementing those plans and getting those things done. So my suggestion is that we would just make sure that we implement the plans, and the time and money that we spent on these plans that we have, let's implement those plans and let's monitor those plans. I've noticed around our city that a lot of things are lack of maintenance. It's lack of maintenance. Things are falling apart because of lack of maintenance. You know, unfortunately, I lost my husband 10 years ago. He used to take care of my house. And now it's on me. And the house was falling apart. And, you know, I can't blame my husband. He's gone. It's on me. So when my door fell off, it's on me. I have to maintain my house to keep it in living condition. And we need to maintain our city to keep it well so that all of us can live peacefully.
Make them start. Yeah, make them start. Make them start.
We've already addressed this to some extent, so it'll probably be a quick session on this question. The controversy surrounding the termination of the lease held by Old School Square, and maybe we can go into it in a little more detail. If you had been on the commission, how would you have voted and why? And if you were on the commission, how did you vote and why? So I think you start, Rob.
Make them go. Make them go.
Make them go. Not on the commission, so I didn't vote. However, you know, it all goes back to me for public input. When you have a city with as many citizens that we have that were upset about this, there was some process that didn't go right. So, you know, whether it was right or wrong, I don't know. And I don't think we will know until the lawsuit is final, because you hear this and you hear that. And so, you know, I'm not here to determine was it right or wrong. I just know that in that process, there was some error. And I think that if we respect people enough to let them be a part of the process, give people speaking power, then they feel respected, and then they can take whether it was right or wrong. it could have been, they were dead wrong, but it's the process. We just have to respect transparent process. Lots of things can go well if you're just transparent about things. And when people think you're covering up or you're overpowering them, then, you have hard feelings. So just a process where it's just transparent and everybody has a little input, and then you make your decision on what you have to do. That was the way I would have handled it.
Thank you. I do think that the commission could have handled it a little differently. I do believe in input and I believe in transparency, but I believe that it was a tenant-landlord dispute. And how I would have voted on that day, I'm not sure. I don't have all the information, but I do know that everyone was at fault, if you ask me. I think that Old School Square was at fault. They could have been more forthcoming with their information. And I think that the city may be at fault because they could have had a little bit more input. Thank you.
I can't disagree with the statements made because I would say,
Why don't you start writing out your questions? Because you've heard all of the questions now. You're not going to be duplicating anything. We'll have someone come and pick them up.
I was just saying that I can't disagree with the comments. I wished that this was aired out in the public. We had about 7 meetings on this subject and nobody came. Unfortunately, the second that they were terminated, then the whole situation got out of control with the messaging. I was expecting this to get rectified. I had a meeting scheduled with a member of Old School Square for the night of the vote. I called him from my car and I said, let's get together and figure out how we're going to fix this. We had a scheduled meeting, and the next day I got a notice of litigation, which halted all communication. And then an email went out saying that they were in full compliance, and to this day they're not in full compliance. So it is unfortunate, and I would have benefited greatly from the public knowing what was going on, because I think they would have shared my concerns. Super quick about the lead. The lead was something I was super excited about, Lead Green Initiative. But sometimes you are collaborating. The DDA has one position on how they want us to go. The staff has one position. The business people have another position. And you get what you can get, and you feel good about it. We are cutting edge. You probably didn't watch the meeting, but our sustainability director told us just implementing anything makes us cutting edge because no one is doing it. And lastly, if I may talk about the plan very quickly, I shared exactly your concerns before I was a commissioner. Why do we have all these plans? What are we doing with these plans? We're spending money on plans, but what people don't understand, I didn't understand, we utilize these plans to get funding from the government. We did a plan, a stormwater plan, and it was cutting edge. Now they're required in every city. Missy Barletto did it before they were required. As a result, I think we got $11 million. Yeah, the plan probably cost us $25,000, but we utilized it. And a lot of those plans are created for us so that we can utilize them to get funding in the future. Thank you.
Okay, back to Old School Square. So, why wasn't it a publicly agendaed item then, if this was something that was meant to have public input? That's my first question. I think there's an attempt by my opponent to rewrite history here a little bit. And to be clear, I would not have voted to terminate Old School Square with zero public input and no plan on what to do with it. This was one of the most irresponsible decisions I've ever seen from a city commission, frankly. One, frankly, championed by my opponent, who is now trying to make it seem like she just was forced to do this after making all this effort with the residents, which just never happened. We now have a partially open campus after a year. We have a $3 million burden to taxpayers and a lawsuit that's going to be a further burden to taxpayers. Any auditing issues with Old School Square, and there were some, those could have been worked out amicably if you were to collaborate with them and sit down with them. Which you could have done beforehand, and you could have brought the public into this beforehand and actually had a discussion about this. And looked out for the public's best interest long term. Even after 11,000 people signed a petition and asked this commission to reconsider their vote a week later, when they still could have, my opponent refused. My opponent refused. Let's call it what it was. Old School Square was a public execution. It was a vendetta. It was a vendetta carried out by my opponent and the mayor on folks who didn't support their campaigns. Thank you.
I don't know how to answer that. It's just, the problem is, listen, and again, this is exactly the situation. Sometimes when you're on the inside, you have more information. There's a binder 4.5 inches thick of requests. We assigned our auditor to assist them in getting into compliance, and she reported to us that there were PPP improprieties. There are staffing levels on certain federal forms that say they had 50 some odd employees, and on forms they provided to us, they have a different number of employees. There are 2 auditors who disengaged, claiming that their books couldn't reconcile, and we even contracted with an outside auditor to look at why their numbers are inconsistent. I don't know what you think that we could have done to help them anymore. I'm not happy about the situation, but I ran on fiscal responsibility, and everybody knows that there is nothing responsible about this behavior. You cannot take $900,000 of the taxpayers' money and not tell them where it went. That's the bottom line. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So in 2021, the year that the lease was terminated, first of all, the city doesn't give Old School Square money, the CRA does, and through the A-Guide. So they didn't apply for A-Guide funding that year. There was zero burden to the taxpayers at the time the lease was terminated at Old School Square. Why not work it out with them amicably? So we had a plan. Why not work with that group? Look where we are now. You scrambled to get one small part of Old School Square open. Now it's going to cost $1.5 million to open the Crest Theater after that was paid for by donors. Now we're paying for it. The taxpayers are paying for it. And we have a building that has been dark for over a year. That is not responsible government. That is not collaboration. That is not looking out for our residents. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully this is the last on this. They did not qualify for funding. They wanted the funding. They did not qualify. They were a burden. They owed us money because they didn't tell us where the taxpayer money was. They did, and that is a burden, and that's irresponsible. And if you're condoning that, I'm concerned, honestly. And second, we will get through this, and it will be better. It is unfortunate, and I am sorry that we are in this position, but I think it's going to be amazing. And lastly, we are countersuing over the conditions in which the place was left. So I expect we'll recover some of those funds.
We probably have time for 4 minutes.
Okay. There are some audience questions. We'll start with Angie and just go straight across. The Delray Beach Police and Fire pension funds are underfunded. What will you do to fix this for our children?
I'm not understanding the question for your children. Our police and fire is underfunded. I'm not sure that's accurate. I'm not sure that that's accurate, that it's underfunded. So, and for our children, I don't understand the other question.
I will just answer that by saying that as an educator and a keeper of the union for about 12 years of my education life, if it were not for my pension, I would probably be homeless right now. So I definitely support pensions. And so as a candidate and getting the support from the firefighters, I am committed to keeping the public safety the top priority and supporting them in the resources that they need to keep our community safe. And, you know, you get what you pay for. So when you don't want to pay your employees or your police department, you lose them to other agencies. We have been training great police officers for years, and then they leave us and they go to the sheriff department. So we need to make sure that we're taking care. We want to be the #1 city. Let's take care of our firefighters and our police officers.
Well said, Ms. Burns. I couldn't agree more. I think that having a safe community is vital, and we're blessed to have one of the best police and fire departments in the county. It's critical that we support them. Otherwise, we do end up losing them to nearby cities or to the county, to the sheriff's office. It's critical that we're not training and making that investment in our officers to have them leave. So it's critical that we ensure that they have competitive wages and benefit packages. Absolutely. It's a key part of why I'm running, is to make sure that we are working with our departments, not against them. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe our men are compensated. They're the third highest compensated officers. Starts with the county, Boca. Yeah, we just had a contract negotiation. And you know, look, we are safe. And so I hope you're not implying that we aren't. We have a new chief. He's a lovely gentleman. He's doing an amazing job. I did not vote for the contract, and there's a reason. We compensated in the salary, but the pensions, we were told years ago, would stay at the same level because we do have issues with our pension funds. We can't cover them. If we had a crisis, we would have to, the taxpayers would have to pay for the pension fund. This is a statute, I think it's 121. You may not realize it, but by law, you are responsible to fund the pension funds in any, and we have had to before. Millions of dollars have had to been filtered into our pension funds because of problems. So this is why this is a difficult job. I didn't approve the last contract for the fire department. It gave an 8-year drop. That's unprecedented in our county. What that means is you notify that you're in the drop program, you have 8 more years of work. During that 8 years, you are collecting a pension for yourself in a separate account. Yes, that is accurate. When you leave, the day you retire, you walk out with the pension, which is approximately $75,000 a year for 8 years. Do the math. And then you additionally get your pension every year for life. So, mathematically speaking, this cannot carry itself over the long term. And it's very interesting because David Schmidt, our former mayor, recently said, we are going to have a pension crisis. And I totally agree. I'm not going to be here when it happens. It would be easy for me to vote for these contracts, pat myself on the back, get the endorsement and say, I did a great job. But I won't do that because you are going to be paying later after I'm long gone.
All of a sudden, my opponent's concerned about taxpayer dollars. It's interesting. So David Schmidt, incidentally, is endorsing my campaign. I'm glad you brought him up. Thank you. My opponent and the mayor actually extended contract negotiations 9 months past their deadline. In that amount of time, we lost about a dozen officers to other cities. At one point, we were down 17 police officers. We had officers working doubles. They were completely drained. And we did have a rise in crime, by about 130% in the last year. So I do take safety very seriously, and our officers deserve to have a competitive wage that keeps them here in Delray. Thank you.
They actually do have one. Can we just?
We follow the rules of the debate. Everyone else is following the rules. You can take another one.
Okay.
Everyone else is following the rules.
Okay, a lot of these are directed at specific candidates, so I'm not going to be reading them. This is a general one. It's sort of been covered, but how would you address staff turnover?
That has not been covered. That has not been covered.
And on these questions, I think, since it's just going back and forth, no rebuttals, just...
I apologize, I thought I had another rebuttal, but to note, the mayor does not negotiate the contracts, nor do I. We have staff that does that. If it's prolonged, if it's delayed, that has nothing to do with Mayor Petrolia, myself, or Ms. Johnson. And again, I apologize, Michael, I thought I had another rebuttal. So staff turnover, interesting question. We just did a salary study. And the good news that came out of it is we were in better shape than we thought we were in terms of compensation. So what we did is we created a compensation package to get everybody to the level where we should do, as the study suggested. But then ultimately, I realized that it didn't include our leaders, our directors, and we had a major problem from the last negotiation contracts with the unions, and we created a compression issue in the city. What that means is the union people were making more than their supervisors, or right on their heels. That's problematic. You can't have the people below you making more money than you. It just doesn't work. So we compensated the police at a much greater rate, I believe. Some of the gentlemen in the fire department, and these are increases in pay in sometimes 25%, 15%, 19%, substantial, especially in light of the fact that these individuals get a 5% increase annually with their review, or they can get up to 5% annually with their review. So we were forced to, across the board, compensate our directors because we had people in the fire department making more than, say, the gentleman who runs our utilities department or the woman who runs our public works department. So it was a problem, and it's a problem that gets created during these contract negotiations. And notwithstanding we knew it would happen, they were still voted in.
Oh, no rebuttals? Answering the same question.
Answer the question.
So wage compression isn't when someone in a different department makes more than a police captain. That would be if like a lieutenant was making more than a police captain. That's wage compression, by the way. It's not the same thing. So anyway, let's talk about what I think would help with staff turnover. Who wants to work at a city when there's controversy after controversy in the news? We need to empower our employees. We need to give Delray Beach back its reputation for being a great city to live and work. We need to stop with the divisiveness, with the ugliness. We need to get back to collaborating and work together and empower employees at the city. That's the issue. Thank you.
My comment is that compensation is great because you work hard on your job. You want to be compensated. So I'm happy to hear that the employees have gotten a raise. But through my travels and interviews, it's about morale. A lot of the turnover is about morale. Some of the people that have gone, it was not about the salaries. So, too, I think that, as my mom always said, you treat people the way you want to be treated, and it starts from top up. So I think that with respect, even with my students coming into my classroom, I gave them respect. My goal each day was to make sure that every child that came through my door had a good day. Because you never know what they come to school with, the burdens, the baggage that they carry to school as kids. So making sure that people smile might make somebody's day a little bit better. So I say respect the employees, and I say allow people to do their jobs. I say lead by example, and I say work together for the good of Delray. And I say take ownership and be responsible.
I think that the turnover is coming to play because we need more, we need people to have better salaries. We have salaries at the top end, but we don't have salaries for people at the lower level. So I would be encouraged to look at our pay scales and make sure that people on a lower level will also be able to take care of their families, to afford a house, be able to lead generational wealth and everything as well. So that would be the first thing that I would say. And as far as the morale is concerned, we've had a lot of turnover, but we're starting to get stable now, and so we have a lot of stability going on. I will bring stability back to the commission because I have institutional knowledge, education to move forward. So again, with pay scales, I will take a look at that and make sure that the lower level people can stay, and then make sure we have training. A lot of our staff are not being trained properly, so they're making a lot of mistakes, they're doing a lot of things, and they're going to other cities. Thank you.
Okay. I think this is going to be the last question, and then we'll have the closing statements. And it's fairly open-ended. Probably going to be in your closing statements. What are your priorities for Delray Beach?
So my priorities are to make sure that Delray returns to working together as a community. I am for all people working together for the good of the city. We need to make sure that we have a safe community. So our fire and our police, they're very important, to make sure that we have clean water to drink, to make sure that our city is managed properly and together and responsibly, and to make sure that we put affordable housing on the top of our list, to make sure that our residents have a place to live. One of the things that I really frown upon, and I think is sinister, is to uproot people from homes that they've been in for 40 years. To remove someone that is in their golden years and they have to move out and start over in a new place, I think is sinister. So I think we need to just work on refurbishing what we have, changing I work on the Affordable Housing Board. I've done 2 terms on that. I also, and I did not mention, I did 2 terms on the Education Board. I'm on the Library Board. I was on the Democratic Club Board as well. So I've done some work around the community, in the community, on many civic organizations. So I've done some work around there, and I just think that affordable housing is one of our #1 issues, and we want to make sure that we have clean water, and then we want to make sure that we put the public back into the business of Delray.
When elected, I will focus on replacing our infrastructure and our aging infrastructure. I will make sure that we address affordable housing and essential housing because we have a lack of it in Palm Beach County and in Delray Beach. I will make sure that we look at not losing our charm, our village by the sea. I want to protect that and to lead us on that. I want to make sure that our traffic and our congestion is being addressed. We have those parking issues. We need to make sure we address that issue. Again, our aging infrastructure is very, very, very important. Not only is it important on the roads, but we have infrastructure issues with our buildings, and we need to make sure that we take care of those things. Safe neighborhoods for all, making sure that we have proper lighting, and making sure that we have paved alleyways and sidewalks for those that want it in their community. Workforce housing, again, top rating schools. We need to make sure that our schools are at the top of the list here. That's what makes good neighborhoods as well in a great city. Our police and fire, I want to make sure that we're definitely working with them. I am a supporter of our police and fire and always have been. I want to make sure that, these are some of the things, a maintenance plan. We definitely need a maintenance plan. For those of you that follow me on Facebook, you know I'm always talking about our infrastructure and maintaining our parks and our recreation department. So for me, those will be the things that I will be working on. We have a lot of issues. We need to make sure that we take care of it. And I've been a former commissioner. I have the experience, and I will be working from day one. Thank you.
So my top priorities start with safe streets in Delray Beach. I want to collaborate with our first responders and make sure vacancies are filled in our police department, that they have competitive wages, that we don't lose our officers and firefighters to other cities into the county. It's critical that we have safe Delray. I want to manage Delray's success. What I mean by that is let's have a vision to manage future growth in our city. Like I said, we have built a beautiful city here in Delray. People are going to continue to move here. Let's plan for that growth. That takes collaboration to ensure that projects that come into our city are compatible with our height limits, our architectural styles, and with our unique neighborhoods. Thirdly, let's end the lawsuit with Old School Square. I want to end the lawsuit with Old School Square. This was an impulsive decision that was made without any community input. I'd like to communicate with the group who's suing the city right now, the group who managed Old School Square for 30 years, maybe create a strategic partnership between them and the DDA to run the organization, to lighten the burden on taxpayers. Also, I would like to fix the toxic culture that exists in our city right now from the dais. Number one goal is to fix our culture in Delray Beach, because it has a ripple effect. We need to stop the infighting, we need to stop the divisiveness. We're all neighbors here, we need to work together. Thank you.
Commissioner Boylston put out a little chart the other day, and it said that 98% of the time we agree. And that's a pretty high number. We don't have problems on the commission. The only time we get to discuss things is in public. Sometimes we have heated conversations. We disagree on things. Some people are for more development. Some people are for less development. But, you know, we're all pretty courteous to each other, and I think we're professional, and I think we're doing a great job. We've accomplished a lot in a short period of time, and I'm very proud of myself and my fellow commissioners. You know, I want to continue on and work on that 10-acre parcel, and I want to get affordable housing and workforce housing in that parcel. I want to work on the water treatment plant. Right now, we have an owner's rep. We are working on having an engineer pull up the raw water to determine what are our actual needs with respect to the water. I want to work on the golf course. That's been promised to people for a very long time. I want to work on the 600, 700, and 800 block through the CRA because I want to see that to be successful. And I cannot wait to work on Pompey Park because finally Pompey Park is getting the financing and we are going to have a whole new development here. So I hope you consider voting for me because I want to keep working for you.
Okay, closing statements.
Was that? No, that was actually
That was
another
the
question.
answer to the priority.
No, but not closing statements. It sounded like it. You got 2 minutes.
Thank you. So, my name is Angela Burns, and I bring 34 years of experience as an educator, which has taught me to be a good listener and a good decision maker. I bring the experience of being a mother, a grandmother, 6 decades of walking in the paint with the people in this community. I've dealt with our families at Village Academy for years with homelessness, with lack of services, and you know, I know firsthand how it is to be without. I have been endorsed by our local firefighters, State Representative Joe Casello, the SEIU, the Neighborhood Alliance. I am a good leader, and a good leader is someone who listens to others and makes an informed decision, not someone that has all the ideas. It takes a collaborative job to make good decisions. So I will listen, and I will listen. So vote Angela Burns, March 14th, first on the ballot for commission seat.
Again, I am running to bring my qualification, experience, and years of institutional knowledge to the commission to lead and to protect our village by the sea. Once again, my name is Angie Gray, and I am a former city commissioner of the city of Delray Beach. I have 5 years of experience and would love to have your support. I have been endorsed by County Commissioner Mac Bernard, Senator Bobby Powell, Commissioner Maria Sachs, that's County Commissioner, former Mayor Tom Carney, former Commissioner Gary Iliopoulos, former Commissioner Jimmy Weatherspoon, former CRA Commissioner Pamela Brinson, former Commissioner Alberta McCarthy. And so I ask for your support and your vote on March the 14th, which is your birthday, Andrea. Thank you very much.
Pick one. Pick one. Here we go. All right.
Well, thanks again to the Delray Beach Democratic Club. Thanks, Michael, for having us all here tonight and having a chance to talk with all of you. And thanks to everyone who made it out tonight. I understand Delray Beach is a collective of diverse and unique neighborhoods with different priorities and perspectives. Whether it's growth management in our western neighborhoods where I live, whether it's beach nourishment, whether it's flooding near the intercoastal, whether it's reviving some of our north communities like here in the set. I'm running to be a voice for every Delray Beach resident. My campaign is about collaboration. It's about restoring responsible, experienced, and ethical leadership to our Delray Beach Commission. That's what we deserve as Delray Beach residents. That's why I'm endorsed by our local police and fire departments, Representative Joe Casello, and 5 of our former mayors in Delray Beach, and many other community leaders. I'm confident if we work together, we'll succeed in ensuring the city is a wonderful, wonderful place to live for years to come. So please, if you're ready for a change in Delray Beach, vote for Rob Long. Thanks again for your time. I look forward to working with all of you.
Okay, thank you all. It's been an evening. So as you stand here, you have the benefit of 2 candidates in front of you whose voting histories on the same project are available. We voted on exactly the same project. And from my perspective, that puts everything in perspective. You know, your livelihood, it's a small business, you're right, but it's working for developers and politicians. And on the Planning and Zoning Board, you voted for very controversial projects that the residents came in and said they did not want. And now as a candidate... What? Yes, I do. So, and I listed my accomplishments. And look, I get it. I'm a little feisty, don't get me wrong, but that's how I get things done. And I've gotten a lot done, and I feel good. And listen, our records are different. They reflect different visions for the city. I've been true to my platform from the first day I ran, and I'll continue to be true to my platform. I am about historic preservation. I am about less is more when it comes to development. And I'm about our quality of life. I did not engage in any endorsement meetings. I declined them. I haven't been looking for endorsements. Endorsements come with strings attached and PAC money. I'm really not interested in PAC money. I work for the residents. And you know, I stressed in my last election, and I will stress it again, I believe PAC money is a corrosive impact on politics. And so I hope you share my vision. I hope you'll consider voting for me. I hope you check out our voting records because they are telling. And don't forget to vote on March 14th.
You get 2 minutes.
No, I don't get 2 minutes. I don't have 2 minutes. Thanks. Thank you all. It's been a privilege. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. Actually, you probably enjoyed it more than I did. So,
It's the first of many.
yeah.
Of many.
Yeah. So we have some stuff on the tables there. Shirley mentioned the water petition. We have our newsletter, current ones, some old ones. Please take them and look through them. Thank you.
Picture of club?
There you go.
Want to do a picture for the club?
Get a picture of the cookies.
The This is the cameraman saying thank you, everybody, for attending tonight on Facebook. Appreciate your patience with the technical issues. Be well, and don't forget to vote.